So we're in discussion.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, I think we do have a lot of information, but I think we should move forward with the motion and the audio part of it. We're going to need that no matter what. And it doesn't say which one. We can probably pick, which one we'd like to pick on our own. Just saying that we're going to spend less than $7,000, I think the motion said. I think we got to move forward with something for the audio part of our meetings. We can work on the video later. We already have a video taped if people really need it or they can get it. I think then we look at the programs like Granicus and see what we do. But I think right now we should move on the audio part of our meetings.
Sure.
All this audio that we're talking about, if my understanding is correct, is really about getting it to a device for people to be able to hear better, versus getting audio just even for our audience just to hear. Is there a difference in the two audios? Because would it be just cheaper to have some sort of audio for our audience as we continue to work through what we really want and how we really picture this? To me, I feel like we have an immediate response to the audience who are actually here. It's great that David videos it, but that's not really our official way of doing it. So we don't want to just get audio for that purpose, but more to address the audience's concerns. And maybe that's a cheaper way to go. I mean, maybe there's some equipment that we can just utilize here until we still continue to work through. I feel like there's been a lot of information, and I'm definitely not ready to make any major purchases based on just tonight's information.
I'd like to just answer Cheryl's question. The first step is to make the audio so the audience can hear. That's basically what is all of the Maya proposal and the $6,000 proposal. From that point, to take that audio and join it for the video to go to the internet is just plugging into that equipment that we bought. So and that's what the town was able to do. They already had all their audio. So when they went to the internet, they didn't have to deal with audio. It was all set. So that first step is I think what we should try to achieve first, because it's going to satisfy the audience and it's going to put us in the right position to do video. Can we do it with something less? We certainly can. But I think we need to have individual microphones to be able to have it work the best. Otherwise, we would be handing a microphone around. Would it work? Yes, it would. Would it be cumbersome? And, probably it would. So I feel we need to do something. And I would support this motion if it was audio not over 5,000. I'm not going to try to say that you should pick the vendor that I know. I wouldn't do that. But I think that if you look at the two contracts, the one that's at 6,000 right now, 600 of that is training. I think there may be enough room in there if whoever's going to decide the contract wants to go back to them and deal with them. They probably have that room to get under 5,000. Or this one. I personally just think that training piece for 600 is, I'm not going to say it's excessive. I just don't think that we really need to spend the money on that. Thank you.
Just for my clarification, this is a motion for, would you mind giving that one more time? I know it was a short one, the second one, but.
I make a motion to purchase audio and video equipment not to exceed $7,000. I mean, the option C was $6,990. This one that David brought, Matt's more than willing to call and make sure he's comparing apples and apples. It might be a better deal, but I didn't want to pigeonhole us into a decision on which vendor. Okay. I don't really think we're a policy setting board, not a administrative board.
Okay. Information.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the board would, there's different options here, they're not just price. It it's different types of equipment. It would be helpful for us, I think, that if you want a wired system, to make that decision. I mean, this is all board stuff, right? And I would appreciate you telling us what you want, and we'll get it. If you want a wired system, I'd go right here. And add the, I'd say $100 for the SD recorder. And then we know that at least you've got a board member who does this for a living and knows what this equipment is. If in fact you think that you'd be better served with a wireless system, because you may use it in different places, it may be in the deliberative sessions, it may be here, it may be other things you do, then I think we'd like to know that. I think we want to initiate the purchase of what you want, and I think what I'm asking is just tell us what you want and we'll order it. I'm getting the impression that you really want to start with audio and get that in the works, but I've also asked you to give us some very clear direction on what you're talking about video-wise, so that we can put that information together. So I'm just looking for some specificity, and then we're sure that we're ordering what you want us to order.
Tricia?
Would you like me to withdraw my motion and be more specific in my motion? I was trying to,
If that's what we need to have the second.
Wait, before you do that.
they both had their hands up, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Well, I do have some other information to add that may help with what Phil was talking about. This system here, basically what happens is, there is what they call a snake that's 23 feet long, that comes from the cart to a central point under the table. And that has a box in it that has 7 plugs. So 7 microphones are plugged into that. That could be used at a deliberative session, because what you would do is set it up the same way, but then instead of using the speaker that is on the cart, which would be sized for this room, you would take an output from that and go into a bigger PA system, more powerful speakers, which we have another sound system. So you'd still be able to utilize the whole microphone, the whole mixer system and all of that. You would basically just be amping it up for a bigger room. And these are certainly, all the way around, these are all quality microphones. So we should not have, like, one person being very muffled or, that's the problem when you have different microphones. And we saw that at the forum, not the forum of the deliberative session. And I don't mean to criticize, but it's my job. I was hearing, I think, when Becky was there, her microphone was very muffled, and some others were very clear. So by having good microphones that are all the same, everybody is heard equally, and it could be used in a much bigger room. The wireless part is really just that connection from the microphone to the mixer, and that's what this 23-foot cable, it would allow us to get that 23 feet away from where people are talking. Thank you.
Yeah, I like the motion as it is, because I think if we pass the motion with a certain amount of dollars, then we go back and say, this is what we want for that money. And she said audio and visual. On the $7,000 quote, it includes some things that we don't need. The training. It also has a couple other things, I think, that may not need. Yet it has the video camera on there, which is part of the motion, said audio and visual. And this other one doesn't have the camera on there. I mean, I think if we say $7,000, then we go back and say this is what we need, and do it for less than $7,000. I
So
think
your
that's the
suggestion
best
is
way to go.
move on this motion and then direct the administration as to
What we
wireless or
want.
Like
what?
Rather
approve
than
this
have an
motion and
exact
then
motion
give a
with
directive
what-
of what we would like.
Instead of listing every little thing that that whole list of things that you need, that we want to get.
I would agree with Mike, except I think we could go to 5,000. And I don't think that really, if we vote to spend $5,000 on an audio system, they could go out to vendors, new vendors, if they want to. I mean, they've just got some gauges here from these vendors, or they could go back to one of the vendors they talked to. I'm not saying that 5,000 locks us into the only one that's under 5,000, and I'm not meaning to do that because I do know this person and I don't want to sit here and be trying to drum up business for him. But I think my idea is that 5,000 is right about at that point where we can get it done right. And then we can decide how much more money we want to spend on video if it's the will of the board. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd agree with that, except we're saying less than 7,000. And as we give the directives of what we want with the system, we want lower price too. I mean, we don't have to go to 7,000. If they can find the audio and visual for 5,000, so be it, but.
So I just wanted to clarify, because I said I agreed with Mike, but when Mike threw in visual, I guess I don't agree then.
Well, that's the motion.
Yeah, and I'm
Motion is
saying,
audio and visual.
yeah, okay. So I'm not supporting the motion at this time. Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of approving the motion as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Opposed.
Let's do hands, if we could.
Opposed.
I'm sorry, all in favor, hands up. Opposed? Phew.
May I make a,
Yes, you
I
can.
think the superintendent would like to speak.
Okay,
I have something to say, but I'm.
Just need to help you out a little bit.
I think that was where she said it.
Oh.
I'm reading mine, but
But
is
then
that
I was
where you're headed with?
gonna, yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
give a directive that
Yep.
for, I didn't mean to sound so bossy, that Matt look at multimedia APS and purchase the equipment, like the 7 microphones with the 23-foot cable and,
So you want it direct wired?
I believe wired is
Yes.
Yeah, let's keep it a little
wired.
open.
I'd like it wired between these two companies.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
I think this, we have to have this stuff in the motion. We can't make a motion, pass it, and then have a couple of members without the consensus of the board start dictating how we're going to do it. I don't see how we can do that.
well, she was asking for some direction, but,
No, she was giving a directive.
okay,
That's what she said.
all right.
I mean,
I stand corrected. There's a motion.
the motion
No,
is
we
passed,
passed.
but what I'm saying is I don't think we can add detail to the motion after it's passed.
Well, I wasn't adding detail to the motion, the superintendent asked for directive, and I was saying to look at these two companies. Basically, we want to go wired, we want the 23-foot cable, we would like to purchase a video camera and have, I would assume Dr. Littlefield's designee is going to be Matt Woodrow, and for Matt to, that's what we were looking at. That was my understanding from the discussion, that that's what people were looking at.
Well, you know what, at this point, we've got a motion, a motion that's passed for audio-visual equipment not to exceed $7,000, so there's your direction.
Do you
But I
want other
voted-
motions
what
for
I'm
him?
saying is.
When I voted for that, though, I just thinking afterwards, we could make a directive of what exactly we want. I just didn't think it should be in the motion, but we want to do
Do
this kind of
you want to do
system.
individual motions
What-
that we want
No,
wireless, that we
I only
want?
have one source of confusion.
You want?
No, really only one. I know that we're going to do the audio. And I know that I will sit down with Matt and go through this and other quotes that we've got, and we might pick and choose to put that audio system together. And I know it's gonna cost $5,000 or less. And we'll also add that SID recorder. I think that's a great thing to have. My source of confusion is the video component of it, because
To purchase
no, let me finish this. Because